Alright guys, today I wanted to make a video about my best assembled Premier League team. So obviously I've only been watching Premier League football since about 2009, so there's going to be no Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, Dennis Bergkamp, Ruud van Nistelrooy or Peter Schmeichel in my team, because obviously they were mostly 90s or early 2000s. So yeah, this isn't the best players. This is like putting a team together sort of thing. So right, I'll get straight into it. In goal, I've gone with Alisson. Now, the reason I picked Alisson is because I feel as though out of the past 10 years, if you look at the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, you've got David De Gea, Thibaut Courtois, Hugo Lloris probably deserves a shout, and Ederson and Alisson. That's probably a good selection. Petr Cech as well. But the reason I've gone with Alisson is because I feel like Alisson is the best, like, well-rounded keeper. Like, obviously David De Gea is a phenomenal shot stopper. Ederson is ridiculously good with his feet, but I feel as though Alisson is the one that's probably the best, with having no weaknesses whatsoever. And then in front of him, defence, I've gone with Alexander-Arnold at right back, and John Terry and Virgil van Dijk at centre back, and Ashley Cole at left back. So I've gone with so Ashley Cole, in my opinion, is one of the best fullbacks I've ever seen. Purely because he was good going forward and he was superb defensively. So he was absolutely nailed on to getting him in my team. Like, the only other player I could think of that would get close to him was maybe Andy Robertson or Patrice Evra, but for me, Ashley Cole all the way. And Alexander-Arnold, I went for him because in my team I want an attacking, like, fullbacks. And in defence, I went with John Terry and Virgil van Dijk because Rio Ferdinand, since I've watched him, was when he started to decline. So yeah, that's why I haven't picked him. And John Terry and Virgil van Dijk, I like the fit of that. I think both decent enough on the ball. And in Virgil van Dijk, you've got a lightning fast Rolls Royce of a defender, and in John Terry, you've got a warrior. So it's like a very good fit. It's similar to Vidic and Ferdinand in my head. And then midfield, I've gone with N'Golo Kante. I mean, you can't get many better team players than him. So he would do most of the dirty work in this midfield, like in intercepting opposition attacks, stopping counter attacks. And then I've gone with Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva slightly more to the right. De Bruyne is sort of playing centrally with Kante, but he's obviously going to be the one that comes forward a bit more to be more creative. I've gone with David Silva playing off the right, so I'm hoping he can sort of be the link between with players like De Bruyne, Alexander-Arnold, and two centre-backs, Van Dijk and John Terry. And then on the left, I've gone with Gareth Bale. So the reason I've gone with him is because, one, he's a left-footed option on set pieces. Obviously, you've got a few good right-footed options in Kevin De Bruyne, David Silva, Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I feel as though that's one option. Two, he's very good in the air, which I feel as though having Trent Alexander-Arnold and Kevin De Bruyne in this team, if you don't have someone who can, like, come in at the back post for a cross, it's a little bit wasted. And then my two forwards, I've gone with Sergio Aguero. He had to be in my team. And I've actually gone with, I was really torn between a few players here. I was torn between Harry Kane, Luis Suarez, and Robin van Persie. And in the end, I went for Luis Suarez. That might be a mistake. The more I think about it, the more I'm thinking Harry Kane probably would be better suited to this team. Um, no, I'm going to stick with my decision, Luis Suarez, purely because of how phenomenal he was in his last couple of years in the Premier League. Like, for me, that last season, 2013-14 season, it's the best I've ever seen a player in the Premier League. So I'm gonna sort of sit on the fence a little bit here. There was two, and I couldn't decide. Two pairings: Suarez and Bale, or Kane and Hazard. I couldn't decide because Kane and Hazard would work very well with De Bruyne and Trent. I think, like putting the amount of crosses in that they do. Hazard is obviously a phenomenal dribbler as well, was when he was at Chelsea. It's very close. In fact, actually, I'm having a change of mind here. I'm going to go Harry Kane and Eden Hazard. So yeah, that's my team. So it's sort of like a 4-4-2, but almost a bit more of a 4-1-3-2, if that makes sense. So I think yeah, it's a very good 11. I mean, there's no denying that it's got some ridiculously good players in, and I think it would fit very well. So I'll go with Kane and Hazard because as well you've got to take into account that Suarez and Bale didn't actually spend that long at the top of the Premier League, if you know what I mean. Suarez had 2 or 3 years, Bale had maybe 3 years. So yeah, whereas Kane and Hazard, Kane's had like what must be about 8 years now, and very consistent as well. Hazard had a couple of years where he was a bit poor, but in fact, actually, it wasn't a couple of years, was it? It was pretty much just the one season. But he did have about 6 good years in the Premier League, so yeah, he deserves to be in it. So yeah, I'll go with that. I'm confident that 11 could be pretty much at any side in the world right now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.